Hello students, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Anup Kumar Kapoor from Department of Anthropology, University of Delhi. Today we are going to discuss about a module known as Travel Monographs under the paper Travel Culture of India. The objectives are: the first, to know about the monographic study or Choron ka ek gaon. Second is the Himalayan polyandry, structure, functioning, and culture change, a field study of John Sar Baba. Now we take a monographic study of Chor Ka Ek Gaon, a village on the fringe, by Dhendra Nath Majumdar, commonly known as D.M. Majumdar. During the mid 20th century, Uttar Pradesh emerged as the most important state of the Union, not only in respect of the size and population, but also in leadership and scholarship. Soon after independence, Community Development Program, what is known as CDP, was introduced in the country with great zeal, and it was thought of an instrument of transforming rural people. Uttar Pradesh turned into a laboratory for sociological and anthropological studies by both foreigner and national scholars. Professor Deen Majumdar is held as the father of anthropology in Uttar Pradesh, and besides teaching anthropology at Lucknow University, he played active roles by preparing action-oriented work for a newly created Uttar Pradesh government body known as Planning Research and Action Institute. The two monographs of Professor Deen Majumdar being reviewed here are examples of pattern of diverse rural life in North India. It was Majumdar who initiated the study of communication in a village, Mohana Klan, near Lucknow. We must not forget that the decade 1950 to 60 was characterized by studies on Indian villages with diverse conceptual orientations. M.N. Srinivas, for example, studied dominant caste and process of Sanskritization in rural belts. Maurice Opler, with R.D. Singh, he was also from Lucknow, examined unity and extension of a village. Senapur, that is again from Uttar Pradesh. McCarran Marriott looked for elements of later tradition of Kishangari, a village in Aligarh district, contributed development of great tradition of India and vice versa. Oscar Lewis examined how an Indian village, that is Rani Khera, that is in Delhi, is different from Mexican village, that is Tapojian, and how inter-village networks work in North India, what he called rural cosmopolitanism. About the same time, S.C. Dubey was working in Rakhandi block, that is Saharanpur of Uttar Pradesh, discovering cultural and human factors involved in community development projects. F.G. Bailey's study was along the line of tribal rural continuum in a village of Odisha. Professor Majumdar from Uttar Pradesh thought of investigating how a village on the fringe functions. This the subject matter of his monograph reviewed below. Dr. Majumdar's Chor Ek Gaon, a village on the fringe, is definitely a departure from above studies. It was first published in 1960, shortly after his sad demise in May 1960. Originally, the script was written in English by him in 1958. His desire was the book is published in Hindi first. His student Chandrabhai Tripathi translated the script into Hindi. Unfortunately, its English version never got published, perhaps lost in the press. Research area and people. A village named Baluga, about 60 kilometers from Hantinala or Robertsganj, that is Mirzapur district of northwest Uttar Pradesh, was treated as a fringe or a chore village, but the actual fieldwork was done in Chittora, a tribal village of Dody Tehsil, not very far from the Dody railway station. Chor means the outer part of something. In the context of rural study, it means a village which has lost its original tribal features and has become a multi-caste village having no common solidarity often seen elsewhere. Dody communities over the period of time have borrowed the cultural traits of each other simultaneously. He called this culture process transculturation. In addition, a fringe village is under the influence of external power, that is, the government intervention, cultural tolerance, and is open to economic well being. We will take up this point later on. Reasons for selection of a fringe village. Dr. D. N. Majumdar first describes the reason for studying a village at the outskirts in anthropological terms. Mostly ethnographers studied caste and tribe dominatory village, multi-caste villages, its social organization, economic interdependence, decision-making processes at local level, politics, and rural characteristics. D. N. Majumdar deviated from earlier studies and concentrated on a defined boarding area having features of detribalization and transculturation. He called these fringe features. That's why the title of the monograph is A Chor Ka Ek Gaon. To Majumdar, the following are the constituent elements of a fringe village. First is geographical characters. Second is communities, tribal and non-tribals. Third, socio-economic relationship among communities. Fourth, religious characteristics. Fifth, responses to the development programs. Sixth, rapid detribalization. And finally, increase of transculturation. Keeping the above points in view, we may now present chapter-wise relevant information as described by the ethnographer, and that is important in studying the monograph. Now, in the first chapter of the monograph, that is Dody and its inhabitants. Dody is a revenue village of the district Mirzapur of southern western Uttar Pradesh. Its northern region falls in the Gangetic Plains. As such, its region is very fertile. Middle and southern regions of district are surrounded by the Kaimur Hills and Sone River. The famous Rihan Barrage has been constructed here. The hilly and the forest tracts of some turn an area into natural bondage. The hilly tracts are rich in mineral deposits of limestone. Agriculture is the mainstay of the people. Dodi is the most backward region of the district. Dodi is a large revenue circle which embraces a number of villages. For the study purpose, the ethnographer selected a revenue circle, that is Dodi, and its surrounding villages fully describes in the next chapter. These inhabitants are both tribal and non-tribals. The socio-cultural statuses in hierarchical order are as follows. First on the top is Brahman, followed by Thakur, then Kalikar, Agrahari, followed by Lohar, Ahir, Kewat, then Kumar and Teli, then Sardar, Chero Manji, then Pasi, Panikha, Chamar, then Bhuya, and lastly Korva. Most of the higher Hindu caste communities are migrants from Bihar, now Jharkhand, and Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh. These two states surround the border of Dudi, that is Mirzapur, now Sonbhadra of Uttar Pradesh. The Khori and Kumbi, in large population, are primarily agriculturists. Communities are endogamous and live in villages independently. Among all, Korwa are most primitive tribal group. A little better position is of Agheria engaged in metalwork, supply tools to the agricultural communities. They are mainly concentrated in middle of Dodi close to Kiril iron mines from where they obtain iron ores. Manji or Manjawar come next to Agheria. They are agriculturists migrated from Sarguja district of Madhya Pradesh. Kherwal are engaged in katha production and also work in agriculture field. They are mainly distributed in northern, northwest and northwestern villages of Dhudi such as Hatwani, Bardhwana, Dhalapilal, Beluguri. They consider themselves superior to tribals and claim themselves originated from Kshatriya Varna. Chiro are the oldest inhabitants of Dody. They act as Purohit and Oja and the local communities in magico religious ceremonies. They are also known as Baiga. A group of Chiro community, locally called Parhaiya, lives in Dody. Basically, Chiro or Baiga are custodian of village god. Today, they are fully acculturated and follow Hindu way of life. Majumdar or Mahanji are the gone migrated from Madhya Pradesh long ago. They are successful agricultural community settled in several villages of Dody. Korwa are the most primitive groups in Dody. They migrated from the villages of Kundapan, Chernapur, Bisrampur, and Sagobang of Sarguja, that is in Chhattisgarh, long ago. Today, their population is on decrease. Panika are migrated from neighboring villages of Bihar and they are in good number in Dody. They are one of the Proto-Australite groups. Earlier, they were weavers. Today, they have given up this work and are engaged in agriculture. They are like Agheria distributed throughout Dody Tahsil. To some, the tribal communities are the oldest settlers of Dody. Hindu higher caste communities came to this area later on when British government required their services in collection of revenue and education. Each tribal population is different from the other. Their families vary from 5 to 15. Distance between two villages is fewer for long. Nearer to the Tahsil, lesser are the distance of villages. It is difficult to furnish demographic profile of Dody. The ethnographer did not cite census of all available records. In 1881, the density of population Dody was 99 per square mile. In 1899, it was 65.58. In 901, it rose to 73, while in 1931, it reached 97.3 per square kilometer. Dody is largely rainwater agriculture region. Its tribal work in forests, mines, and neighboring areas on ways during agriculture off-season. However, well-off families of Gond, Chero, Baga, Panika, Agheria enjoy their surplus. The region has lost traditional tribal dress, dance, and music. We'll discuss some of the villages which have been studied by anthropologists as a monographs. The study is mainly based on Chittora village and its three wards, that is Piparahi, Mathuaria, and Chutkai Bahara. Elsewhere in official record, Dhanura is noted, but Dr. Majumdar never mentioned Dhanura in the book. All wards or tola come within a radius of 5 or 4 kilometers. The village is located only 2 kilometers from Dudhai railway station. According to a government record, Chittura was first surveyed 1874. The area was fully agriculture. Nanko Manji K name has occurred in the paper. According to him, his forefathers came from Riva as the region was under the control of Singrauli king. Finally, it came under the control of British government in 1842. The first officer was Robertson. Robertson Ganj is named after him, of which Dody is a part. In 1874, the area came under the control of the government and Dody was made as its important revenue circle. Today, after Jokhan Manji, Sabedar Singh, the Sapurdar, a team close to Jamindar of Dody, now the Sarupudari or Jamindari system has been abolished. In the monograph, Chapter 3 describes socioeconomic system. Before the introduction of community development programs in Dody, the inhabitants of Chittura practiced agriculture in traditional way, mainly by plough and manually. Cow dung in plenty was used field. Unlike other villages of western eastern UP, cow dung cakes were not used for fire cooking. Water in pond and hand-made wells are used to irrigate fields during off-rainy seasons. Crop types. Chittura yields both Kharif and Rabi. The Kharif crops are of two varieties, that is Badhai and Aghani. Badhai begins with mid-June with first rains. Basically, it is rainy crops which include sawa, mejhari, makki, urd, tili, and jonhari, while Anghai yields are paddy, kondo, kut, jitani. Rabi yields are wheat, barley, chana, masoor, peas, sarso, and arhar. Incomes are also generated through horticulture produce. Mangoes, guavas are owned mainly by the well-off families. Of 6 orchards in the village, 3 are owned by Bania families, 2 Manji, and 1 by the Thakur family. There are around 500 mawa trees in village owned by the Brahman, Thakur, and tribal groups. Animal wealth includes cattle, goats, chicken. In 1956, the study group counted 244 cows, 317 oxen, 40 buffaloes, 146 birds, and 7 horses. Earlier, Chamal had pigs, but now they have given up rearing pigs in Chittora. Material culture. Houses are made of bricks, tiles, and mud depending upon the economic status of the groups. Tribal women are fond of silver and metal ornaments, unlike Hindu castes of Chittora tribals are fond of drinking homemade liquor. Their agricultural implements include plough, axe, and levelers. There was only one bullock cart in the village. Household items include cots, mats, some aluminium, and earthen pots. In 1955, only one Tayara bullock cart was owned by a Thakur family. Tribal groups are mainly dependent on manual labor. During agricultural seasons, ploughs are borrowed from whom owned them. For this, a nominal price in the form of grains are paid to the owners. In the monograph, chapter 4 describes about the arrival of Mahajan, that is money lenders, and rise of indebtedness. During the time of study, almost all tribal groups were in the grip of Mahajan, that is a Bania community, who had provided them cash and grains on heavy interest. Mahajan families are scattered over Dody. Initially, they came from neighboring regions and treated the locals as friends. Gradually, they start giving them loans in the form of cash and grains. During marriage, some families are in the need of cash, which they instantly get after paying heavy interest. Illiterate debtors did know fatal consequences of getting loans from them. The orthographer has presented a number of case studies how interests are realized from poor illiterate tribals over the years. The point noted here that these Mahajans do not charge heavy interest from literate families. As a result, good amount of land of illiterates have been transferred in favor of Mahajan and higher caste families. In the monograph, the 5th chapter describes leadership pattern in the village. In the village, Jati or caste panchayat is predominant. Each caste had its own pattern in formation and structure of decision-making process. For example, Panika has one head, while Chamar has a council of 4 members committee. The committee underlying all Jati Panchayat is the same to check upon caste or tribe norm, illicit relations, theft and family disputes over the property. In some cases, a Jati Panchayat, as with the case of Chamar, jurisdiction extends over 8 villages. As a rule, each village has its own panchayat, but if required, 2 or more villages could be included. The headship of Jati Panchayat is hereditary. It is to be noted that at local level, decision-making processes, the higher caste families are not oriented towards Jati Panchayat. Brahman and Thakur have no Jati Panchayat. With the enactment of UP Panchayati Raj Act in 1953, village council, that is Gram Sabha, was formed on the basis of number of persons residing in the village. If a village has 1,000 or more population, a council may be formed. Otherwise, 2 or more villages are included, forming one Gram Sabha. Adalti Panchayat came into force from 1954. Unusually 3 to 4 Gram Sabha under one Adalti Panchayat. Presently, Chittora comes under Dody Adalti Panchayat. The main function of the Adalti Panchayat is to decide the cases sent by Gram Sabha. It can fine up to rupees 100. It disposes of the cases related to family property, intercaste, tribe disputes over land. However, few cases related to the tribal families are reported to the Adalati Panchayat. In the monograph, the sixth chapter describes village leadership pattern. Prior to enactment of United Provinces Jamdari Abolition Act 1947, Nanku Manji, a Gond tribal, was the Sarpudhar of village head. Throughout his life, he maintained a healthy relationship with the inhabitants of Chittura while collecting taxes and decision-making process. After his death in 1900, a non-tribal became the leader. Since then, Chittura has become a place of caste rivalry and group interest. By this time, a number of high caste families had been settled in the village, such as Chaube and Mishra families. Later on, Thakur came into the forefront of the village politics. Sarvadham Singh enjoyed the post of Sarpudar till 1952. However, even after abolition of Jamandari system, he remained as a powerful leader in the village. A number of case studies cited in the book clearly indicate how Chittora village gradually lost its stable character in decision-making process. This usually happens with a fringe village since it is open in all the corners. For outsiders, it becomes a profitable place. Tribal communities by nature never stood against them. The next chapter, that is 7 in the monograph, discusses about inter-caste relations. As was noted above, there were 5 tribal communities and 11 caste communities in Chittora. A chart showing tribe caste social position in the village may be prepared in terms of their participation in rituals, acceptance of food and drinks, and gesture of the respect. These 16 communities form 3 layers in terms of their social position in the village as shown below. First is high level comes Brahman and Thakur. In middle level, Kalwar and Agrahari, that is Mahajan, Baniya in popular terms, then Lohar, Ahir, Kewar, then comes Kumra, Teli, Kherwa, Chero, Mahani, Panika and Pasi. And the lower level it comes Chamar and Bhumiya. Inter-communities relations are at different levels. Brahmins, for example, are invited to perform the rituals at the time of birth and marriage by all except Charo, Mahaji, Chamar, and Bhumiya. It is important to note that death rites of all tribal communities are not performed by the Brahmins of the village. The minimum degree of participation of Brahman is with Chamar and Bhumiya. In general, the interaction pattern among the Hindu caste communities are almost the same as found in elsewhere in northern plain villages. In Chittora higher and middle level, Hindu caste do not accept food from tribal communities. However, drink is accepted from Chero and Maji. Nowadays, this social distance has been relaxed due to external forces such as education and jobs. In Panchayat, no social distance is observed. A Chamar need not require to pay respect to Chamar in Panchayat meeting. In school, no social distance is found between caste and tribe or between higher and lower caste. Artisan communities have important role in strengthening socio-economic relations among the various communities. For example, Kumra supply earthen wares to all the groups. Same is the case with the Lohar and Teli. All caste groups invite Chero, that is Baga, whenever agriculture operation ends. Marginal and landless communities often work in agricultural fields of economically well-off families. Intercaste or tribal economic cooperation is a must in Chittora. In chapter 8 of the monograph is about the kinship and the marriage system in Chittora. Here our interest is to know more about marriage system of the tribal communities of the village. Tribal groups are endogamous and practice clan exogamy. The powerful tribal groups in the village is Manji, that is gone. 2 forms of marriages are followed by Manji and other tribal groups, that is Bia and Sagai. The term Bia is used for marriage of a virgin girl, while Sagai is called when widow and divorced female gets married second time. Marriage by bride price is commonly practiced. Exchange marriage is also permitted. Multilateral cross-current marriages are preferred. However, Rajput, Thakur, and Brahmins do not practice cross-cousin marriage. Bride price, that is Badu Dhan, consisting of cash rupees 10 to 25 and utensils. In some cases, ornaments, grains, depending upon the economic situation of the group family, Chero, Mahji, and Panika have adopted Hindu marriage rituals. Dowry system is not practiced by the tribals of Dody. The kinship terminologies of the tribal, such as the Mahji, Chero, and Panika, have gone remarkably changed due to Hindi-speaking caste communities. Aurat, that is wife, Mard, that is husband, Beta, Beti, Patoha, that is daughter-in-law, Sasur, father-in-law, Dada, Dadi, Nana, Nani, grandparents, Saas, Devar, Bhavi, Basur, that is husband's brother, Bua, Fufa, Mama, Mami, among others, are frequently used as terms of address. Now, in the ninth chapter of the monograph, that is life cycle rituals. Birth, marriage, and death. Tribal groups of the village do not consult the Brahmin at childbirth. They, however, consult Baga for naming a child. At the time of marriage, Manji and Chero consult Brahmin for an appropriate day and time. Marriage is said to be completed after a communal feast. On the 10th day of the death in a family, a simple ritual is performed. They hang a nimbu, that is lemon, with a sting in front of the deceased house. If the fruit falls, then it is thought the dead person would reborn in the family. Among the Hindu caste, life cycle rituals are performed elaborately in the presence of Brahmin priest. On some occasion, the latter are invited from the neighboring villages across the district boundary. Now we take religious beliefs and customs. A number of religious celebrations are prevalent in Dodi, especially among the Hindu caste. Tribal groups are, however, restricted to their magical beliefs under the supervision of Baga. They believe in existence of spirits of dead ancestors and worship them on the appropriate time. They also worship village gods and sacrifice goats and chicken as directed by the Baga. Omens are observed at the time of marriage. Now, in the 11th chapter of the monograph, discuss about the directed changes. In 1953, community development programs were introduced in 90 villages of Dodi. Chittora was one of them. 12 projects headquarters were established in the area. Each center supervised 7 to 10 villages. Chittora was a center of trade from very beginning. It had primary and middle level schools. After 1955, high schools were opened. Soon Dodi became a large trading center. It is well connected by metal and non-metal roads. Both men and women of Dodi and other areas contributed labor force to development works. Construction of small bridge, water reservoir, linking walls, roads were constructed during the first 5-year plan. During 1954 to 55, Kisan Mela, Social Service Center, Mangal Dal, Bhajan Mandali, Adult Education Center, Women Group, Training Centers for Youth, Female Training Center, Health Centers with Missionary Midwife Facility and Cooperative Centers were established. In order to protect and enrich animal wealth, a breeding center along with the agriculture training was also opened in Dodi. The result was the entire landscape of Dodi transformed into rural-urban complex. It goes without saying that higher caste communities were much benefited by welfare programs. Tribals of Dodi, however, had a handful share. The fruits of development were enjoyed by the educated Hindu caste. During 56 to 58, a couple of NGOs became active in the field of education and health. It is only by their efforts that some tribal girls and boys of remote villages, that is Manji, Gond and Chero, got inclined towards modern education, they were given facilities in the form of accommodation and food. Because of his geomorphic characteristics of Dody, over the period of 50 years, became a focal point of systematic transculturation. Traders of neighboring states, districts opened profitable business in Dody. Tribal groups have lost their original identity, accepting new challenges for life along with Hindu communities. Now there is some points to remember, that is district Sonbhadra came into existence in 1989, carved from Mirzapur district. It is under Mirzapur division. It lies in the southeast of state. It was created by Uttar Pradesh in 1989 by transferring whole Tehsil of Robertsganj and Dudi from Vidya-mitra district. Gorawal Tehsil came into existence after 1991 census, which was carved out from parts Robertsganj Tehsil, wide UP. The district comprises of three Tehsil, namely Gorawal, Robertsganj, and Dudi. With Robertsganj as a district headquarters, there are 8 Vikas Khands, namely Gorawal, Robertsganj, Chhatra, Nagwa, Chopan, Dudi, Mayarpur, and Bhamani located in the district. Out of the total 14 towns in the district, 6 are treated as census towns in 2001 census. These are Parsi, Anpara, Jamshila, Kharia, Kota, Bijpur. Remaining 8 towns, namely Gorawal, Robertsganj, Churk, Gurma, Chopan, Obra, Dodi, Renukut, and Pipri, are statutory towns with 1 Nagar Palika Parishad and 7 Nagar Panchayat. There are 66 Nayam Panchayat, 479 Gram Sabhas, 1425 revenue villages, in which 1363 are inhabited villages and 61 uninhabited villages in the district. In the revenue villages, there are 12 forest villages, out of which 8 are uninhabited. In the census of 2011, Sonbhadra had 18.63 lakh population distributed in 1,363 villages and 14 towns. 9 groups of Shul tribes, that is Gond, Chero, Baiga, Kherwar, Panika, Bhuiya, Najisia, Patari, and Parhaiya, constituted 3,750 and 415, or 31.60% of the total population. Welfare Department, in collaboration with the Ministry of Tribal Affairs, Government of India, has undertaken a massive development plan for the tribal communities of Sonbhadra, as given by A.N. Srivastava on Rethinking Development Policy Sonbhadra 2012. Presently, 5 tribal communities are declared as Shul tribe of Sonbhadra district. Previously, they were listed in category of Shul caste. Sonbhadra is the only district of Uttar Pradesh which has 37% tribal population. The second monograph on the title, The Himalayan Polyandry, Structure, Functioning and Culture Chain, a field study of Jansar Bawar by D.N. Majumdar. He was the leading anthropologist from Lucknow University, and it was published by Asia Publishing House, Bombay, 1962. Jansar Bawar in Dehradun district, now in Uttarakhand, attracted a number of scholars on account of its existence of fraternal polyandry. This area is famous for fraternal polyandry. Although Dr. Majumdar used to visit this area right from 1937, it was his Himalayan polyandry which made him famous in 1962. Now, when we see the contents of the Himalayan polyandry, the first part is based on literary and historical sources. The second part embodies ethnographic details of Jansari with special stress on their social, economic, political, and religious life. Jansari habitat, it forms northern part of Dehradun district. The hilly and the forest tracts of Jansar Bawar is roughly oval in shape. Its bordering parts join Himachal Pradesh and districts of Dehradun, Tehri Garhwal. Jansar Bawar forms 2 constituent parts, Jansar and Bawar. Then comes village settlement and house types. It has been indicated above that the traditional Jansari follow polyandry. Therefore, their houses are built in such a way to accommodate extended families. Multi-story houses are in almost all settlements visited. These are made up of party stone and deodar wood because only these stones and deodar woods are available in that area. It looks like apartment. Local terminologies employed for different types of structure are that is dobla, basement, ohra, above the basement, buar, topmost decorated room. Then next comes dresses and ornaments. Jansari are fond of colorful dresses and ornamentation. Dresses vary from season to season. Thus, in the winter, big size coat, chola, locally made by the weaver or tailor is used, and churidar pajama, that is jangle, that is safa, turban, snowshoes are commonly seen because in this area winter is very severe. The altitude varies from 7,000 to 10,000 feet above sea level. That's why they wear these type of dresses. Then comes social organization of the Jansari. A Jansari family or household is patrilocal. After marriage, the couple resides with the husband's father household and patrilineal name and succession in male line. Then the backbone of the Jansari villages, traditionally it was organized depending on the strength of the caste and kinship affiliation. They are village level, inter-village, khat, inter-khat, and all Jansari Bawar level. Also, we see the caste hierarchy in these Jansaris. We get three tier structure of the Jansaris as noted below. On the top, there is a dominating group of high castes of Brahmins and Khasa, that is Rajputs. In the middle, there are a number of professional castes such as Badi, Sunar, Bagdi, Lohar, Bhajki, etc. Their nomenclature varies in Jaunsar region. At the bottom, there is a low caste which includes Kolta in general and in some places Tom, Mochi, etc. Here I would like to tell you that throughout the Himalayan belt, especially in the central Himalayan belt, all the lower caste group, they are referred as Harijan or Dom. Then when we see inter-caste relationship among the Jaunsari, the caste hierarchy is not as rigid as seen in other Hindu caste villages of the plain areas. Intermarriages between Rajput and Brahmin caste is allowed, though the cases are not very many. Family and kinship relationship. Jaunsari are a patrilineal community. They practice patrilocal marriage rule among the two high castes, Brahmin and Rajput. Traditionally, joint family system is now. Form of marriage and types of family. There are three forms of marriage, that is monogamous, polygamous, and polyandrous. And this type is known as very famous in India because of polygamous and polyandrous nature of marriage. Jaunsari perspective of marriage. The Jaunsari Brahmin and Rajput caste are not strictly endogamous, so the case with the remaining lower caste. When we talk about kinship category, Dhanantri or Rantri, these two local terms denote the kinship status of Jaunsari woman. Dhanantri is referred to those females, daughters, and who remain in natal father residences. When we see the village organization, that is Siana and Khumri, functions of the Khumri in association with the Sianas, and then see here I would like to give the Sianas, the oldest man in the community or the family or the village, that is who has a very experienced man, he is called Siana. Then we have them nowadays because of introduction of modernization system, we have modern panchayat system and development vis-a-vis Khumri panchayat, they are going on side by side. Then we study the life cycle rituals, birth rite, marriage rite, death rite, and taboos associated with the mourning period, Jansari magical religious beliefs. These, the life cycle rituals as well as magical religious are very interesting to observe as an anthropologist. Then we see fairs and festivals. Fairs are characterized by social, economic, and religious congregations, but a tinge of economic implications. Some of the important festivals are Magh, Jagra, Gogar, Diwali, and Dashera. These are celebrated all over the regions. Regional variations are with Jatar, Kamauna, etc. are celebrated locally. Bisu, Sahid Kesari, Chela Mela is great importance in this region. Now we summarize this module. Jansari society is a continuation of past. Its continuity is maintained in the midst of change. It is through the culture, contact, and communication that changes are brought about in a society. Frequent contacts of Jansari with the plain cultures has increased the degree and direction of change. Since independence, democratization has geared the Pahari people. The loss of an old values results in the adoption of new ones. They are spread of education and job opportunities, or better term as government's intervention in the development of Jansari community with the construction of roads, transport facilities, establishment of education, health, vocational training centers. The Jansaris are now coming close to the external responsibilities. A couple of traditional Jansari settlements transformed into small kasbah. Now I would like to give you few very interesting examples. When anthropology started, especially in India, the British Raj, the British so-called, now we call them anthropologists, but they were not anthropologists by degree, but they were anthropologists by interest. They used to come and visit India, and they used to produce many monographs in different parts of India, north, south, east, west, central. That's why in our libraries you will find all monographs written by these British so-called anthropologists are lying. But nowadays, in 21st century, the anthropologists are not writing down the monographs, the reasons that you have to identify, you have to understand why. Thank you.